Hello, grade 3. So today we are going to start talking about something new. We're going to talk about how to find the main idea of a text. So today is more just a brief introduction. We're just going to do the basics. Then if you want to get a head start on tomorrow's lesson, there's a video you can watch, but let's take a look. So like I said, it's a brief introduction. We're just going to barely scratch the surface, and then we'll get really into it tomorrow, okay? So this is something that I want you to keep in mind. The main idea, which is what we're talking about, the main idea of a piece of writing is what it is mostly about. There can be lots of information in a paragraph or in a story or in a piece of writing, but this main idea is what it's mostly about, okay? So here's what we're going to do as our first little activity. So we have a bunch of words right here. Obviously, we're not going to be cutting them out because they're on the computer, but you can be doing this inside of your home learning book or on another piece of paper, and I will actually send this to you as well so that you can print it out if you would like to do it that way. What we're going to do is we're going to group these words based on something they have in common. So we're going to sort them, okay? So I'm going to look at this first one here, and it's a pineapple. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look and I'm going to see if anything in this list like matches up with it or has something in common with it. So helmet. Pineapple and helmet, no, they don't have anything in common. Lemon. Well, they can both be a little bit sour, but they are also both fruits. Then I have a grape and a pear. So what I'm going to do is up here, I'm going to write fruits. And I'm going to write pineapple and lemon and grape. I'm probably going to cross these out as I write them down. Pineapple, I will cross out and write it here. Lemon, I will cross out and write it here. And I will write down any fruits in this column that I see here. But I'm going to remember to write the word fruits up here. Then I'm going to take a look and I'm think, okay, helmet, touchdown. Elbow doesn't have anything in common with a touchdown. Fumble, ooh. Quarterback. These words have something in common. A lot of them happen in American football, but also they all have to do with sports. So maybe for my second title here, I'm going to write sports, and I'm going to write down any words in here that have to do with sports. I'll cross them off over here and write them in this column. Lastly, we have one more here. So let's look at something that we haven't used. Elbow, okay. Ooh, fingernail, those have something in common. They're not near each other, but they're both on the body. So is an ankle and an earlobe. So maybe over here I'm going to write body parts, and I'm going to go in here, I'm going to cross off elbow and write it down, and so on and so forth. So I want you to give that a try. Pause the video, put them in, and then you can come back to check your answers afterwards, okay? If you'd like, you can send me a picture of this on Class Dojo. If not, that's perfectly fine. This is not due, okay? This is something that we're working on together. All right, so if you're back, we've got fruit, so we put pineapple, plum, lemon, cherry, kiwi, grape, pear, and mango. Those were all the fruits in this box. Football, right? So we could have put sports up here like I had suggested, but football works also because these all happen or are a part of American football. So not the football we play here. That's something that us Canadians and Americans call soccer, the way that you play. But football includes all these things. So quarterback, a referee, a helmet, a huddle, a touchdown, a punt, which is when they kick the ball, a field goal, and a fumble, okay? Lastly, body parts. We looked in here, we found all the body parts: eyelash, fingernail, thigh, elbow, ankle, shoulder, earlobe, knuckle. So sorting all these things, because if I were to read a paragraph about body parts, these would all support that by talking about different body parts. Or if I was reading a paragraph about football and the main idea had to do with football, I might see all these words in there. Or if the main idea was about fruit, the topic was fruit, and the main idea told me something about fruit, these might all be in there, okay? So now let's take a look at this, and we're going to find the sentence that doesn't belong, or the sentence that doesn't support our main idea. So when we're talking about a piece of writing, there are supporting details, and these are sentences in the writing that help to prove what our main idea is, okay? They are extra facts that build onto that. So let's read this together. Women's gymnastics is a very popular sport to watch during the Olympics. The girls compete on 4 different events: uneven bars, balance beam, vault, and floor. Men's gymnastics has 6 different events. While the women's floor routine is to music, the uneven bars, balance beam, and vault are not to music. So that was pretty fast, but the general gist, the main thing that I took from that was about women's gymnastics. So I'm going to find something in here that doesn't tell me about women's gymnastics. What do you think that is? You can reread the sentences if you need. If you thought that this sentence right here, men's gymnastics has 6 different events, if you thought that that sentence didn't really make sense in here, you are correct. While it does talk about gymnastics, it didn't really tell us about women's gymnastics. We were talking about what the girls do, so why is that in there? Now let's read this one. I want you to think on your own of, I'll read it out loud, and I want you to think of what sentence does not belong or does not support our main idea. Many different shapes are considered quadrilaterals. A quadrilateral is any shape that has 4 sides. A quadrangle is any shape that has 4 angles. Squares, rectangles, rhombi, and trapezoids are some examples of quadrilaterals. Pentagons, hexagons, and octagons are not considered quadrilaterals because they do not have 4 sides. So think about what sentence there does not fit. So for the first one, like we talked about, the sentence that didn't fit was men's gymnastics has 6 different events. So like I said, although it does talk about gymnastics, the paragraph is mostly about women's gymnastics. So this sentence does not support our main idea. For number 2, if you chose this line, a quadrangle is any shape that has 4 angles, then you are correct. Although it's still talking about shapes, the paragraph is mostly about quadrilaterals, talking about sides of shapes. This sentence does not support the main idea. Let's look at a couple more. So once again, I'm going to read this out, and I want you to tell me which sentence doesn't really need to be there because it doesn't help prove our point, okay? Violins and violas are very similar. Both of them are string instruments that you might find in an orchestra. You could also find a cello in an orchestra. Violins and violas both have 4 strings that you play by using a bow or by plucking. Also, they are both played by being held between the shoulder and the chin. So take a few seconds, read that through, think about which sentence doesn't really need to be there. It doesn't really help. So maybe jot down the sentence that you think. Pause this and jot it down, and we'll check on the next slide, okay? We're going to skip over to this one here, though. We're going to read it again, and once again, we're going to choose the sentence that doesn't really need to be there because it doesn't support our main idea. Miniature Dachshunds are wonderful to have as pets. They are very playful and loving. Since they do not shed very much, they do not leave hair everywhere and are easy to clean up after. Golden Retrievers also make wonderful pets. So think about which sentence in there doesn't really have any business being there. You can pause this and jot it down, and then we're going to check. All right, so for number 3, if you chose, you could also find a cello in an orchestra, then you're correct. Although it does talk about an instrument that can be in an orchestra, and it's true, the paragraph is mostly about violins and violas. It's comparing these two. So this sentence does not support the main idea. It shouldn't be there, okay? We're talking about these 2 instruments, not a cello. The sentence that didn't fit for number 4 was that golden retrievers also make wonderful pets. While this is true, and they are a pet, the paragraph is mostly about miniature dachshunds. It's talking about these dogs. So it's really not necessary for there to be a random sentence about a completely different type of dog. This sentence does not support our main idea. So this was just to give you kind of a taste of what main idea is, and this will make a little more sense tomorrow when we dig deeper and find out how to find the main idea of a paragraph, okay? If you want to get a head start on tomorrow's lesson, you can go into the description of this YouTube video and click the link and watch this video. It will also be linked tomorrow, so you can watch it again at the very beginning to refresh your memory, get your brain working again before we start the lesson, okay? And this will give you another idea of what we'll be talking about.